Pressure from Nicola Sturgeon could force Boris Johnson into a humiliating last-minute surrender to Brussels' Brexit demands, as a crunch EU summit gets underway. Boris Johnson could back down to the EU's demands in a humiliating last-minute climb-down on Brexit. Mr. Johnson could break his own self-imposed deadline of October 15 for reaching a trade deal with the EU, according to experts. Sky News deputy political editor Sam Coates suggested that pressure from Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP could force the Prime Minister into a compromise with Brussels. He raised the extraordinary poll from Scotland this week which suggested support for independence has risen to an unprecedented 58% of Scots. Speaking to Sky News, Mr. Coates explained, when you look at other issues that are weighing on Boris Johnson's mind, most notably there is the extraordinary poll out of Scotland suggesting that 58% of people would vote for independence and 42% for the Union. It is understood that a no-deal Brexit would weigh in that independence argument as well. So perhaps the calculation of just how far Boris will move starts to change. The Ipsos Mori poll for STV News found just 42% of Scots backed staying in the Union when undecided voters are stripped out, with 58% in favour of a breakaway. It is the biggest lead in a poll ever recorded for the pro-independence side, sparking concern among those in Downing Street. There is fear among number 10 officials that leaving the EU without a future trade deal this year would only increase support for independence in Scotland. Boris Johnson has spoken out about his disappointment that more progress had not been made during Brexit talks. He had a phone call late last night with President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen and President of the European Council Charles Michel. Mrs. von der Leyen said the EU wanted a deal, but not at any price. Downing Street said that Mr. Johnson will decide on the next steps for post-Brexit trade talks after an EU summit which gets underway later today. Sky News' Adam Parsons said, I've spoken to multiple EU sources and not one of them think a Brexit deal is frankly anywhere near.